To start the race off, I find my first unique after killing the witch in Grelwood. As I never played with it, I don't know how to value it in comparison to +1 or +2 cold gems. It has good spell damage though, and it triggers a Fusilade skill on each cast. So I defeat the Rust King, spend a minute shuffling my inventory for no reason at all. And move on to the Grim Tangle, where I reach level 6 to finally equip the staff. In the mausoleum, I seem to have another panic stroke while selecting my next skill gem. I mean, what the fuck am I doing there? And then I'm looking for the skill, even though I haven't socketed it in yet. At the Draven fight, you see how good that staff actually is. Even though I shoot half of the Fusilides into the wall, they really trivialized the fight for me in the end. Look at that beautiful finishing burst. As a thanks, Draven drops the second unique in this run, but outside of the life, this doesn't seem to be a very good one. Back at the vendor, I find the most insane stuff I ever found in any of my speedruns so early on, and I had to replace my unique. But first, I go strolling around the city a little bit, shop at the vendors, find a little helmet that is not very useful, and sell the unique that I just equipped. So both uniques who gave me a huge headache, I did sell after only one fight with them equipped. At the Tomb of the Concert, I died to an enemy that I've never died to before. And not only once, I died to him twice, until I finally gave up and just moved on.
Let me teach you the power of the Eternals, Marraketh fiend.
Luckily, Acinia was rather easy with my new staff.
To me, Draven.
I need more time.
Foul intruder. You are mine forever. My love, I told you.
Repulsive witch.
Dudum. While I did have a list of support gems that I need, I lost complete overview early in Act 1. I was super nervous and I feel you can see it, the way I would click around my skills aimlessly. I could have done all this in the 2 minutes that I was dead in the tomb. But well, I never practiced with standing still, so I guess I wasn't used to standing around like this for a long time. But it got better during my run. And in the end I choose one that I actually had already equipped. Dudum.
Husband, this interloper has the power we need. Kill her, and you shall have everything I promised.
No noose this time. I'll remove your head myself!
I think not, Mad Wolf.
At Geonor I was very relieved that my damage was as good as it was. This was one of the bosses that always gave me troubles in my training sessions.
Oriana! Open the cage! Release the beast! Give me what you promised!
I think not. I expected so much more from you. Since you are too weak to do the job, I'll find someone who can. Goodbye, husband.
You manipulative whore! How dare you abandon me after all I've given you!
I need more time.
The air grows colder. Agnar the wound. Agnar the impaler.
Your death comes!
As swift as death. And imbued by the moon. Cursed or gifted. Branded and afflicted. Your veins soon chilled.
Even though he chooses to call his minions rather early in the fight, I do okay in dodging them and finish him quickly after.
Requiem on high. I smell your blood,
I can't do that
and
yet.
I am ravenous.
Where has she taken the beast? I found messages from the desert.
First ones.
What foul
From
energy
Vesti.
gives life to you?
Yes. Find her. Kill her. But first,
I
please,
can't do that yet.
stop the madness. As you wish. We must make haste. Let us return to Clearfell to make our preparations.
I need more time. Go now, defiler of flame.
In the end, it turned out to be a personal best for me, with 1 hour and 41 minutes transitioning to Act 2. That shield charge also is much too late at the end of Act 1, but at least I started to use it in Act 2. But I have to say, it was my first time using shield charge, and I never did use it in any of my trial runs. Arriving at the Modern Quarry, I find my third unique, and this one was a real game changer.
Die forgotten. I must travel light.
I think I've never seen this one before, or at least I didn't pay much attention to it. But having these stats in the speedrun is so comfortable, and the passive fits perfectly with my build. So when I reach my next level up in the mines, I skill strength and equip the new chest piece.
I have no space for that.
But I didn't realize what these attributes do for me. For example, a leap slam would be much more achievable for me now than in previous runs.
The traitor must be sealed within.
I did do Balbala in order to ascend, but her moving around so much makes it so hard to hit her with the frost bomb.
You fought well, traitor.
I do find an okay-ish amulet at the gates. And I exalt my staff for mana regeneration.
Noxious Sycamore.
Shaman-Ra? How is this possible? I need more time.
I shall dethrone you, Sycamore, and leave you to the sands!
I need more time. Lunarite blade!
I tried to seek peace, and the Sycamores disgraced me. Left my corpse to rot in the sand. This time, we choose war.
You receive the death you deserve. And I shall give you a dagger!
We shall finish this, but not today.
I went to the trial of Sekimas. I'm still not sure if it does its worth it, but it didn't take me too much time.
We can both be redeemed.
I would give anything for a sip.
Unfortunately, I misclicked one gauntlet at one point, and I have no choice but to take a second gauntlet right after. So that cost me probably like 2 more minutes or so.
Lunarite blade!
Would give anything for a sip.
I can't do that yet.
Here I should probably finish up the rare golem before I do the summoners, just to have the chance for the item.
Victory is mine. Furious Stone Lord, I challenge you.
It burns.
My damage at Rattle Cage was not bad at all, but it took me much longer than I thought it would after Jamandra went down so smoothly. This was kind of a hard and long fight. Almost trapped myself there, and I'm dancing around way too much afterwards. I think I could have finished this much quicker if I stopped dancing around that much.
Beware of what falls. Look out for the slam.
I am worthy.
I knew.
My path is clear.
I took the Chronomancer after I saw a guide by Chung Rowan. I do think the occasional cooldown reset is very nice, but I'm not sure I used it enough to make it worth it.
This
And carry
It was a bit unfortunate that I didn't find a jewel here. In pathing upwards, I always get that one jewel slot that I want to fill up, but I found one shortly after. Shortly before the run, I did hear someone say that you should always go south in Keth, and I tried it out and found the snake rather quickly this time, so that was very lucky.
serpent's tongue. I need more time.
And the Kabbalah fight, you can see how often I miss the reset of the cooldown. I would be so much faster if I click it every time it comes off.
Not yet. I need more time. Keep your bones to yourself. Not yet.
Protect your queen!
I need more time. Not yet. I can't do that yet. My
After the fight, I directly find another unique. That is probably unusable, unless you have a very specific build to do so.
I can't do that yet.
In the Lost City, I finally get my jewel by defeating the Scarab, which I luckily find right away.
Defiled treasure. I will remember.
Before the Mastodon, I have another uninspired backport with no goal at all. One of my many visits to the vendor when it was absolutely unnecessary.
Care for a story? I will tell you a tale.
At least this one was kind of short. Here I start with the wrong mage. I usually love that fight because you can double dip, but I don't do a very good job of aiming at both of them at the same time this time. That's why they don't go down evenly as much as I want to. As you can see, here I'm also dancing a little bit too nervous. I lose way too many of my health potion charges, and I get hit quite a lot by the gravitation field. And in the end, this probably becomes my most unlucky death. So back in for a second round, and this time it went much smoother. This time I went back for the twins in Deshar, thinking they have a skill book for me for some reason. And this time also tanking them both at the same time, while I usually pull them one by one. And it did work out rather well, but those two can have really nasty aura overlaps. So it's probably way too risky to try them, especially as they don't give skill points in the end. And I got another unique out of it, which is 1000 gold for this run. And at Dreadnought, I fixed my lightning resistances to cap them out, which was rather easy with my new chest piece that had 2 sockets by this time. I did reset a few times because I was only level 26, and I had some runs that bricked at Shaban Ra, so I wanted to get some levels to be more sure. This was my first time doing that. I saw it a few times in the last race, that people were catching up on experience here, so I thought it would be a good idea to try it too. But you see me going back every time before I reset, because I feel like I have to go there to reset it. I do think this area is very good for this, but I do run around way too much. I divide the enemies too much. That's why I take way too long to kill everyone. So in all, it's very inefficient for me. Probably more efficient than any other area, but I should definitely improve this farming technique for myself. I go for another small shopping detour before I fight the end boss. I don't know why it was what I was looking for. I just can't seem to help myself. 2 of my runs bricked at Shaman Ra, so I was very excited to get here again and try. I was hoping my race wouldn't brick here, but it went rather smoothly. So I was very happy about that.
The Sigma of the Artura. Bow before your king.
The Melekets do not bow to kings. We skin them. Stay still. Not yet. Submit. You are finished.
The era of the Faradun is now.
I did have trouble with the ads at some of my tries, so I even use hypothermia here for the ads.
Out of mana. I need more time. No mana.
For
We're
my
running out of
people!
time. End this. Not yet. What are you doing?
But the beast, go! I don't have time for this! Sands! Bend to my will! Impede my enemies!
Not yet.
Our gift to you! The era of the Faradun is now! Blood!
I can't do that yet.
Our gift to you! I will erase you!
Your death comes.
We will blot out the
I
sun!
can't do that yet. Need mana.
The
I need
Marakas
more
will
time.
pay!
I need more time.
And why the fuck do I roll a Chronomancer if my character tells me all the time, I need more time, I need more time?
I need more time.
Die! Foolish second!
At this time I don't look at the time anymore. It was roughly around the 4-hour mark, but all the good players were already done. So I was just hoping to finish the run and prove to myself that I can do it and finish it in time, because last time I noticed that nobody finished after 8 hours. So I thought there is some sort of a hard gap for that maybe. By this time it was around midnight for me already, so I also wouldn't be surprised that if many people stopped playing at that point.
I need more time. No mana.
I find 2 Jewel's orbs here, so I keep one for my frost wall later and to put one on my frost bomb.
There is power in this object. I can feel it.
And now I noticed the 2 support gems that I threw away earlier in the run. And surprisingly to me, the jungle ruins might have been the place where I died most often in this run. I usually don't die in this area, but in this one it was somehow cursed.
Not yet.
I try to do kind of big pulls in order to save time,
Not yet.
and then I ran into the Monkey King. I had to run back to the area because I didn't get the checkpoint the first time, so then I cleared around the area in order to get the checkpoint.
Have you? I need more time. Out of mana. I am beginning to grasp true power.
And with this, round 1 started.
How does it lift that thing?
thought I was beside him, but apparently it's a 180-degree angle, so I have time to sort my inventory right now. I do exchange my 2 bottles, even though they are worse, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess I wanted to have to do something while I was waiting and while the monkey was staring me down in 45 seconds that I was standing there without being able to move. Second round, he brought 2 of his friends.
Out of mana. Not yet.
So the next time I cleared around the area again to face him one more time, but this time without intrusion. Ready for round 3, I was sure to beat him this time.
More time.
Doo-dum. Now I just wanted to go home and stop fighting this monkey, but he comes and interrupts my portal right at the end of it. So we go into round 5.
I need more time.
And this time it looks kinda good.
I need more time. Need mana. Not yet.
I dance around him as I do in this run way too much, but it works for the moment. And then shortly before he falls, and as he shoulders his pillar for the 5th time, I have to accept defeat. I was ready to come back for my revenge later. Here I get my most important level up, level 31 for Frost Wall. So back at the camp, I start fixing my skills, and it takes me way too long again. Standing in the camp, I decide randomly that it's time to exalt my staff, and lucky enough, I get spell damage on top of all the damage I already have. And I continue with my shoes and my necklace, just because I have so many exalts at that point.
I need more time.
Moving on, you can see how much my damage improves using Frostwall. And I find my first support gem level 2. I even went into the Azak Bog because I thought I might still reach level 41 and then I want my comet to be automated. But it turns out I never came back here.
Servi was right. The Azak must be dealt with.
But afterwards I was ready for my revenge. Or so I thought. Another minute of waiting time. Yay. Nothing to sort anymore, just standing around. Oh, but there's a gem cutter's prism left. So let's increase the exposure of my frost bomb. And die again. 8th time is the charm, for sure. Almost half of my deaths are on the monkey right now. But I do want those skill points. There he is, waiting again for the next round. And I, unable to move, stare him down. And finally, some walls come up. There is minions coming in, but this time I can finish him. So this monkey alone cost me more than 15 minutes probably, with all the cleaning around it and walking back and forth and the waiting time. So it's probably smarter for me to do him later. I also go into the Temple of Chaos because I think I might ascend 2 times if my damage is lacking, but I also don't come back to this place.
Not yet.
Now that I got my Frost Wall, the Chimera is kind of easy to beat as well, and extra stun when she sits on the pillar is just a convenience to burst her down even quicker.
Not yet. I need more time. I can't do that yet.
Still alive.
Then I spend another few minutes on crafting and buying stuff and selling stuff to the vendor, even though I don't need anything anymore at this point.
My tribe could use that.
I try out the stuff and see that it is not worth it. I don't know why I spent so much time in this. I think I could have saved probably 15, maybe even 30 minutes if I didn't spend so much time in the village and shopping. As the PoE veterans say, the hideout is lava. Black Troll is one of the other bosses that you don't need, and that took me way too long because you also have to find the core to get into his room.
I can't do that yet. Stone One, your duty has ended.
In the Act 3 layouts, I really noticed that I only practiced Act 3 one time because I was stuck in Act 1 and 2 so much in my training sessions. It took me forever to find this first soul core, even though I know the reset trick. I didn't find it at the start, and so I thought I would find it in the common way. So I was just looking around, but it became more and more a discover everything mission. Luckily, this reset trick worked much better the second time around. The boss was smooth sailing again. Once you get Frost Wall, it's really all trivialized. But the boss drops another unique, which I also equip because it has a higher block chance, although I don't really use the block chance at all. And after making a portal here, I realize I can just go to the teleport to go to the waterways right away. Kind of proud about that.
Now, let me access these waterways.
The waterways I basically cleared, which also means I will never be part of the 3-hour club as long as I do that. Next to all the other problems, of course. Even still trying to kill the rare here, although I have all the gear I need and more. But as I said, I just can't help myself.
I have no space for that.
But it is a huge time waste, of course, so I will have to work on that. Now here in the apex, I die on a very horrible position. I have to walk all the way back after this. At this point I might just be too tired to react, because I think you could have seen this ground effect and dodged out of it easily. The Queen of Filth is always scary. That she can kill you before you can even target her is kind of bullshit. But here the walls also help you immensely, and the ads are not a problem usually.
At least it was worth it, I suppose.
Still taking my time with loot, identifying everything, going back to the vendor. It's somehow like with the monkey, again and again and again. The temple gives me another regal orb.
Touch of cold cake. Will return!
The elements will remain
make up symbols for blood and offering. Wait, no. It's not a blood offering, it's someone of vile blood. Perhaps if I...
Apparently I started the dialogue too early, so I cannot get the loot anymore. I might have been able to go back with the portal, but I didn't try it out, and it probably doesn't matter at that point. It probably saved me some time at the vendor in hindsight to not be able to collect this loot. Still looking though.
As for you,
Fighting the Viper usually is the most scary fight in the game, but with the walls you don't really have a problem with her, unless she does her big snake frontal attack, which goes through the walls. Getting hit here 2 times is a big mistake, but luckily I have a big enough HP pool at that point to survive it. And there is another Tetris session for myself, playing around with everything that I don't need anymore. And finally getting my second skill gem level 2 for my frost wall. Leaf Slam would save me so much time in these areas like Utsal. But while full clearing the area to get through it, I find yet another unique. And of course I have to go back to the encampment to identify it. Sure, it's not a race. I have all the time in the world.
yes?
Gambling around for some items, then using my Regal on one of my 2 items that are not rare yet.
Stay wary.
And the aggro heart, I find a sacrificial heart, but luckily I don't choose to use it for the extra 2 points. At this point I also use my shield charge much more regularly than I did at the start.
So, at the eve of the end, the demon of Hatzoatl has finally come for
In total, this race took me 6 hours and 11 minutes. That brought me place 164 in the total ranking, which is slightly lower than I expected. I was hoping for an under 6-hour run, but in the end I was happy to have done it and to have gone through with it, even though it was 2 at night when I finished my run. Watching the replay showed me how much time I wasted just standing around or sorting through my shit and banging my head against enemies that are hard to beat, like the Monkey King, for example. So with dying less and the hideout is lava, I hope that my time in the next race is under 5 hours, maybe even close to 4 hours.
Do you know why we're here? It happened! It cannot be stopped!
No, I will succeed. Let's see you survive this.
At the bar. I'm not impressed.
Hopefully I continue to improve so that I can upload a video without cutting it into 1000 pieces in order to make it watchable. I hope you enjoyed my overview of my first race. If you liked this video, like, share and subscribe. Any input on the gameplay or the video is highly appreciated. I'm looking forward to reading them in the comments section. So until then, I wish you the best of luck in the next race and see you around.
This happened. All I've done. All that I sacrificed.
Your people cannot be saved. History is already written. You can stay here and die, or